Joe Sloan, LSU offensive coordinator, was on with Jacob Hester on Off the Bench this morning. Of course, Joe going to his second year calling the plays for this LSU offense, and very, very excited about that. And he wanted to talk about the identity of this LSU offense, and did so with Jake this morning.
We're definitely a fast offense. We have speed all over the field, and I think the important thing will be is to be able to use that to our advantage to create, misdirection and create issues for the defense. And I think that's where we're going to start. I think what we've done a good job of, and really with Trey'Nez and Bauer and those guys, is having the ability to create some different formations and do some different things, and some of the different pieces on offense to use in multiple ways to get different looks to the defense. And I think our guys have really bought into that to be able to add, to maybe some of the things that we've already been doing, which I think will be really exciting.
Now, you might listen to that bite as an LSU fan and kind of roll your eyes as it's kind of coach speak. Well, we got to get the ball in space to our fast guys. We're going to do some different things, and kind of roll your eyes at it. And that would make a lot of sense because a lot of coaches speak in cliches like that, and it doesn't really mean a whole lot. I can tell you this. I'm not Vince Lombardi. I'm not Bill Belichick. I'm not name your NFL head coach. But I could go out to spring practice and tell you that offense looked different. They were doing some things that we have not seen them do in games. Now, I'm not here to tell you if they're going to work or not. I have no idea. But I promise it's going to look different. They're doing some misdirection things in the running game, a lot of things in the screen game, putting Xavier Thomas in the backfield. They're doing some things that are different. Xavier Thomas is one of those speed pieces. And Berrien Brown is one of those speed pieces. And Chris Hilton is one of those speed pieces. And Caden Durham is one of those speed pieces. They've got a lot of guys who can really run. And the goal is, okay, how do we make those guys get it going wide open? And that's the plan, is to get them to do that. Now, the guy who's got to facilitate this whole thing is Garrett Nussmeier, and Joe Sloan kind of reacted to year one as a starter for Garrett.
He was as prepared as he could be and had developed as much as he could possibly develop in order to be prepared to play. And then there's experience and development you have to get from play, right? And there's some situations that happened in the season that now he's aware of how those things transpired, within the way he plays the game. And then practicing and preparing year-round to make sure you can avoid some of the negatives, right, and highlight your strengths. And I think that's what he's doing.
There's nothing more impactful than on-job training and learning experience. There's just nothing. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you're selling insurance, managing a construction site, teaching third graders. Like, you're going to get better at anything by doing it. You can practice and practice and practice and practice all you want. You got to do it. And Garrett Nussmeier's first chance to go do it this past year. And I thought it went pretty well. But he's got to get better than he was last year for LSU to accomplish anything they're trying to accomplish. If Garrett Nussmeier is the exact same player he was last year, LSU will lose 3 or 4 games. But if he improves, there's no limit on what LSU can do. So Sloan talked about in the offseason, entering year 2, what that's looking like for Garrett Nussmeier.
He's been able to really watch and dive into every bit of his film from the last year, and now take that into spring with having a really good plan on exactly what he wanted to improve on and what we wanted him to improve on in all the different facets of what we do. And I think that's what, when you watch him really from January up until spring ball, that's what he did. And then we would kind of reset during spring ball and say, okay, this is what's really getting better. This is what, okay, we need to adjust and maybe shift our focus, or, hey, let's look at our footwork here, or let's look at what we're thinking about here. Something else maybe reared its head a little bit. But I think you just see a calmness and a understanding every day of exactly what he needs to do. And I think that's the piece that experience brings you that is hard to have until you actually play.
On the one hand, it's really good to watch film of Jaden Daniels running Joe Sloan and Mike Denbrock's offense. Like, that's a positive thing, right? Because Jaden Daniels did it as well as you can do it. On the other hand, it's really hard to watch that film and then go do what he did, right? But it's easier to watch film of you, see what you did well, see what you did not do well, and try to fix that. And Garrett Nussmeier could not do that last April. He didn't have any film. Now he does. And so now Garrett Nussmeier's ready to take control of this speed offense. Speed, 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 speed. One of the speed guys in this offense is Aaron Anderson, who kind of under the radar last year. You had the late Kyron Lacey. Mason Taylor was a big piece of what LSU was doing, and candidly, like, not a lot of people, myself included, expected Aaron Anderson to do very much last year, but he did, and he was as productive as anybody they had in the passing game. And Joe Sloan's pretty excited about Aaron Anderson this year.
You talked about Aaron. The way that he's taken from last spring, right, he was kind of an unproven commodity going in, and he was competing with a lot of different guys. Where was he going to fit? And took advantage of some different opportunities and then really took off from there. But I think you see just a different Aaron this offseason and how he approaches every day, how he's taking care of his body, how he's attacking practice. I couldn't be more proud of him. Being vocal, I mean, he's been awesome. So it's been fun to see.
Aaron Anderson had a light bulb go on last year, and that's really fun to watch for an observer, someone who covers a team, certainly a fan, because it happens at different speeds for a lot of people. Some folks just show up and they're ready to play. And it doesn't happen often, but some folks just do. And like the example that I kind of use from a baseball perspective is like Alex Bregman showed up, just didn't really need to make an adjustment. Just go, hit. Hit for 3 years, moved on. He was in the minor leagues for a year and a half, hit. But not everybody's like that. And Aaron Anderson wasn't like that. He wasn't ready to play at Alabama. Then he got hurt, and he came to LSU, and he was coming back from the injury. He wasn't ready to play, and then it hit. And a light bulb came on, and he figured it out. And he was awesome last year. Absolutely awesome. And he'll be a huge piece to what they do. Now, one guy that was pretty ready to play when he got here, and speaking of speed, was Caden Durham. And he was phenomenal in his freshman season. Time now for an encore for him, and Joe Sloan spoke about his now sophomore running back.
What Caden was able to do last year, for just maybe the public, you would just see, okay, Caden's a freshman, and you watch him and you go, oh, wow, he's doing such great things for a freshman, for a true freshman. But I would add this. I mean, he didn't get here till the summer, and what he was able to do and pick up in the summer, carry over, I think it speaks to really, one, the program he came from, but how he handles himself mentally and how he carries himself, his maturity. But for a true freshman in the SEC to go out and play the way he did and play through some of the different injuries he was dealing with, yeah, he was pretty dynamic. So I can't wait for him to be able to stay healthy throughout the year, and what type of runner he can be week in, week out when he's feeling a little bit better.
That's the thing. We can't know how Kaden Durham felt last year. Like, he could tell you, but I know that he had an insert in his cleat, and that can't help you run. And I know that he actually got run down from behind twice last year. And I don't anticipate that's going to happen a lot. Angles are angles and things happen, but like, he's generally the fastest dude on the field. And I think that 100% healthy, you could see even better stuff from him in his sophomore year than his freshman year, and that's exciting. And there's one more piece to this puzzle, and Joe Sloan spoke about what makes him special.
I think he brings so much to the table. He's able to slash and beat people with speed. He's also able to drop his pads and be physical when he needs to. They go all the way back to that run versus South Carolina on third down.
Yeah.
He hit the gap, and when he split those two defenders down the field, it was a pretty impressive run. There's not a lot of guys in the country that do that. So I couldn't be more excited about him.
I think everybody is really excited about Caden Durham and Aaron Anderson and Garrett Nussmeier and this entire LSU offense that's going to take the field in 2025. They should be excellent. The one question mark that I've got, and it's only one on offense. Like, I don't have a big question mark of whether Garrett Nussmeier is going to be a better player. I think he is. That should not be a question. The offensive line is a question, and it's Brad Davis and those guys' job to either take those growing up players that were freshmen and sophomores last year, add in your two transfer potential starters, and figure out a way to be a good offensive line. If they're good on the offensive line, they'll be a top 2 or 3 offense in the SEC. I feel comfortable saying that. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.